There are moments in life when the weight of the journey feels unbearable. You've been praying, believing, holding on, but nothing seems to be changing. You've fought battles in silence that no one else sees. You've wiped away tears in the middle of the night when everyone else was asleep. You've whispered, "God, how much longer?" You've questioned your strength. You've even questioned your purpose. Have you ever been there? That place where your heart is tired, your hope feels thin, and your faith is hanging by a thread. It's in those moments that the enemy whispers the loudest, "You're wasting your time. It's never going to happen. Give up." But I came to tell you today, you are closer to your breakthrough than you think. What if the door you've been waiting for is just on the other side of the hallway you're standing in? What if the prayer you've prayed for years is just one more sunrise away from being answered? What if the battle you're fighting isn't a sign of God's absence, but proof that something powerful is about to shift? Think about this. The darkest part of the night always comes just before the dawn, not at the beginning of the night, not halfway through. Right before the light breaks, the night seems to press in a little harder. And that's exactly how it feels when you're closest to your breakthrough. The pressure increases, the doubt grows louder, the obstacles seem bigger. But that's not because you're failing. It's because you're almost there. Breakthroughs rarely come with a warning. They don't always announce themselves with flashing signs or trumpet sounds. Sometimes they happen in ordinary moments when you've chosen to keep believing even though nothing makes sense. And that's where God does His best work, in the silence, in the persistence, in the moments where you choose to trust instead of turn back. Today, I want to remind you, don't quit now. Don't let the heaviness of today make you forget the promise of tomorrow. You've come too far to walk away. You are closer to your breakthrough than you think. There's a critical moment in every story, a turning point. It's that moment when everything looks like it's falling apart, but in reality, something deeper is being set in motion. It's the moment Joseph sat in prison after years of betrayal and disappointment, not knowing that by tomorrow he'd be standing in Pharaoh's palace. It's the moment the Israelites stood trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, thinking their journey was over, not realizing the waters were about to part. In our lives, these turning points rarely look like victory. They often look like setbacks, delays, or dead ends. But heaven sees differently. Heaven sees the moment of pressure as the birthplace of breakthrough. You may be standing at your own Red Sea right now. You're back against the wall, the enemy closing in, no visible way out. And you're asking, "God, where are you?" But what if the miracle isn't delayed? What if it's already being prepared behind the scenes? The waters didn't part weeks before Israel arrived. They parted at the moment they needed it most. And your breakthrough will too. This is why so many people give up too soon. The pressure gets intense, the silence grows longer, and it feels like nothing is happening. What they don't realize is that the moment they feel most like quitting is often the moment they're closest to crossing over. The enemy's strategy is simple: get you to surrender before the miracle arrives. I think of runners in a marathon. The final stretch is always the hardest. Your lungs burn, your legs ache, your body screams to stop. Do you know why so many push through? Because they know the finish line is near. And spiritually, emotionally, mentally, you have to do the same. You may be exhausted, but this is not the time to stop. You're not at the beginning anymore. You're in the final stretch. God has this way of working at the edge of human ability. He waits until we've exhausted our strength, not to punish us, but to position us so that when the breakthrough comes, there's no confusion about who made it happen, so that your story becomes a living testimony of His power, not just your perseverance. Maybe everything in your life looks shaky right now. Maybe doors have closed, plans have fallen through, and timelines have stretched longer than expected. But don't confuse shaking with breaking. Sometimes the shaking is simply God rearranging things for the breakthrough. The hardest moments aren't the end. They're often the exact place where God steps in. And if you can hold on through the turning point, if you can trust Him when everything in you wants to give up, you'll see what He's been preparing all along. One of the greatest tests in life is this: can you keep walking in faith when there's no visible evidence that the breakthrough is near? Because most people want a sign before they step. They want the waters to part first, then they'll move. Faith doesn't work that way. Faith steps while the water is still in front of you, believing it will part as you walk. Think of the story of Joshua and the Israelites crossing the Jordan River. The waters didn't roll back until the priests carrying the ark stepped in. It was their step of faith that activated the miracle. And it's the same in your life. God often waits for your step of obedience, your decision to keep going, before He unveils the breakthrough. Walking by faith isn't glamorous. It's often quiet, unseen, and uncomfortable. It means getting up every day and showing up even when you feel like nothing is working. It means praying when you don't see answers, loving when you don't feel appreciated, sowing when there's no visible harvest yet. It's trusting that what you can't see is more real than what you can. And here's the truth: breakthrough often happens in the invisible before it ever shows up in the visible. God starts shifting hearts, aligning opportunities, moving pieces into place long before you see any evidence of it. Walls of Jericho didn't crumble after one day of marching. It took 7 days, 7 silent, repetitive, seemingly pointless days. But every lap was weakening the walls, even if no one could see it. Every step was progress, even if it didn't look like it. That's what your faith does in seasons like this. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every tear you've cried in faith, it's doing something. It's shaking the walls, even if you can't hear it yet. And let's be honest, it's not easy. There will be days when your faith feels more like a whisper than a roar. There will be moments where you wonder if you're wasting your time. But hear me, God is not asking for perfect faith. He's asking for persistent faith, the kind that keeps walking even when the path is foggy, the kind that chooses to believe even when the evidence says otherwise. You might be just one step away, one prayer away, one act of obedience away from the moment everything shifts. And the enemy knows that. That's why he works so hard to discourage you right before the breakthrough. He can't stop God's plan. He'll try to stop you from reaching it. So keep walking, keep praying, keep trusting, because you're closer than you think. The walls are shaking. The waters are stirring. Heaven is aligning. And when the breakthrough comes, it'll make sense why God asked you to keep walking in faith when nothing was visible. Friend, don't let the weight of this moment make you forget the power of what's coming. You may be tired. You may be weary. You are not finished. You're closer to your breakthrough than you think. God hasn't brought you this far to leave you now. Every tear, every step, every prayer, it's been seen. And heaven has not been silent, heaven has been working. Right when the night feels darkest, the light is about to break through. Right when it seems impossible, God is about to make a way. So hold on, stay faithful, keep walking. The finish line is closer than you think. The door is about to open. The walls are about to fall, And when it happens, you'll stand there in awe, realizing that God was working all along. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Don't quit now.